Season 17, episode 14 of Sister Wives. Did you watch it? This episode was intense. I think for many years, Sister Wives was kind of a boring show. You have to admit, there were some seasons that were pretty dry, but this episode, I think, made up for it. So much so that I really do want to split this conversation into a couple of different videos because I want us to have time to focus and really think about some of the stuff that we saw in this episode. So for the first part of this conversation, I really want to focus on the fact that in the first scene of this episode, we are really getting evidence that not only is Robyn the favorite wife, she's also the boss wife. Robyn makes choices and she makes moves, and y'all better get in line and follow behind her. It just shows up time and time again in this opening scene. So basically, all of the adults are going to have a conversation at Mary's house. We haven't been to Mary's house in a while, so that's exciting. Mary tells us that they're all coming over because they haven't talked, I guess, since Christine left, and because Janelle wants to talk about her plans for her house and they need to discuss Coyote Pass, all the same stuff they're always talking about. And that's how the conversation starts. They sit down. Oh, but wait, this is not on topic, but it's very interesting. Cody shows up and he's making comments about how he survived COVID. He's so happy that he survived COVID. And that's what he's talking about. Then as all the other adults show up, Mary makes a joke and she says, well, I got tested and I don't have COVID. And it's like, I don't know. I don't even get how that's a joke, except that Cody really laughed at it. He really laughed. And then that was my clue, oh, was that a joke? Anyway, it reminded me of, was it last season where Mary is making a similar, it's not really funny, but it's a joke, I guess, where she says, oh, Robyn, we know those are your COVID rules. And Cody starts to laugh. And then Robyn steps in and says, no, that's not funny. And then Cody says, yeah, that's not funny. It just felt very symbolic to me of Cody and Mary's relationship, that on their own, they really did have a good relationship, I guess. They laughed at the same jokes that on the outside, I didn't even realize these were jokes. But Cody really laughs at the jokes Mary makes. And on their own, they're okay. And they have real feelings. But when Robyn steps in, they don't get to enjoy that anymore. It just felt symbolic, even though it's not on topic. But anyway, let's get to the point. So the context is they're all going to sit down and talk together about the property. And that's what they do in the beginning of the conversation. They're talking about whether they still want to have 5 separate plots of land and what they're going to do. And, just all the stuff they always talk about. And then Robyn, example number 1, she's the boss. She says, I feel very weird about this conversation. We have so much other stuff basically that we need to talk about. And on its own, I am fine with that. I do think that is something to be said. Yeah, we want to talk about the property, but there's a huge elephant in the room. One of our adults just left us. Can we process this together? But in the context of what we know to be true about Sister Wives, that was the worst thing that Robyn could have said. Number 1, we know that Janelle has been fighting for her life to get a house built on Coyote Pass. She has been struggling out in the, undeveloped land, no plumbing, no electricity for months to try to encourage these people to build a house. Number 2, we know that Janelle is the one who helped pay for Robyn's house. We know that Mary is the one who helped pay for Robyn's house. And so finally now we have Janelle has the moment. All of the adults are here together. We're going to talk about the land. You're going to look at my plans. We're going to make decisions so that I can have my house finally built. And Robyn is the one who says, let's stop talking about that. That feels weird to me. Instead, let's talk about the thing that directly impacts me. No one made Robyn feel bad for saying that. Of course, Mary jumps in and says, yeah, you're right. This does feel weird. They immediately fall in line, supporting Robyn in her assertion. And once again, Janelle is just left out there. Maybe we'll get to your stuff later, but right now Robyn has an issue we need to discuss. So of course, at Robyn's direction, the family does stop talking about the property and start talking about the state of the family. And of course, Christine, the idea of Christine comes up and just all the stuff that they've kind of struggled through over the past few years. This brings up the fact that Christine was the one who was really against having one house on the property. In an interview with Janelle and the producers, she reminds us that she was the only sister wife who was really for the one house. And so it makes sense then in the moment with Mary at Mary's house, Janelle looks at the other sister wives and says, okay, so do you all want to build the house? Do you all want to build the one house now that Christine is gone? Like, should we do this? And Robyn, without hesitation, says, no, I don't want to build one house. After what I've seen our family do during COVID, there's no way I want to build one house. And of course, it immediately cuts to Cody in his interview. He says, yes, Robyn's right. COVID exposed our family. And it's just interesting that, like, when Christine said no to one house, we never heard from Cody that, yes, Christine is right. Although in this episode, we do learn that Cody did start to agree with Christine that some of the concerns she had about one house were valid, and Cody was starting to agree with her. We never heard Cody say, yes, Christine was right. But as soon as Robyn says no to one house, we get Cody very clearly saying, yes, Robyn is right. There are a few other interesting moments that happen in between Robyn being a boss and the next example of Robyn being a boss. They don't necessarily match up with my thesis statement, but I do need to include them because they're so interesting. As they continue talking about the one house and what Christine's role was in all of this, in the breakdown of the family, Janelle shares in an interview an experience that she had had with the family over the past several years. So apparently, according to Janelle, Robyn would have issues with Christine and complain to Cody about them. And then Cody would tell Janelle about it. And the reason that Cody would tell Janelle about it is that he wanted her to basically stop being friends with Christine and start siding with Robyn. Now that's petty and that's terrible. That's not great leadership, Cody. But what was really interesting about it is that then it cuts to Robyn's interview, and apparently it seems like she must know what Janelle shared in her interview, because she says, well, I learned a long time ago that venting to Cody about my frustrations with my sister wives really hurt my relationship with Cody. When I heard her say that, I was like, oh, she's going to say, oh, this really hurt my relationship with my sister wives. No, Robyn does not care that her relationship with her sister wives was ruined by her gossiping and complaining about them to their husband. She didn't care about that. She just realized that it was affecting her relationship with Cody, and that's really the only relationship that matters to her. And so she says that she stopped doing that a long time ago. Is that true? I don't know, but that's what she said. Okay, next example of Robyn just trying to be the boss in this scene. So Robyn looks to everyone and says, basically, if people are just tired of trying and you don't want to do the work to make this family work, then just let me know. And Mary kind of is offended by the question. That's how I read her reaction. She's offended by the question, and she looks at Robyn and she says, you know that I'm here to make this work. I've been here for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 20 years trying to make this work. And it's very interesting. Robyn does not say anything. Now, can you imagine being in this moment? You say to someone in your family, can you just let me know, do you want to make this work? And they say, yes, I want to make this work. And you just don't say anything. That's weird. Except then they cut to an interview with Robyn, and she says, I'm intentionally not saying anything because I don't want to intimidate Cody and Janelle into feeling like they have to conform. What? That is such an interesting way of looking at your role in the conversation, Robyn. So basically what she's saying is, so I asked this big question, Mary says she agrees with me, and I feel that if I say anything else, Cody and Janelle are going to feel like they have to agree with me. That's a boss move. That is, because just think about what type of person, it's not no church mouse in the back who feels like, well, if I say anything, the rest of the family is going to feel like they have to agree with me and go along with me. So I'm not saying anything so that they have time to think. That is someone who is used to leading the conversation. either overtly or covertly. That is someone who is used to putting ideas out there and then seeing them come to fruition. To me, that's a big deal that she said that. She did not want to intimidate Janelle. She did not want to intimidate Cody into feeling like they would have to agree with her just because she said something. One thing we do know, and we've known this about Janelle since season 1, episode 1, Janelle sees herself as a boss. And maybe she's not a boss of the whole family, but she's definitely a boss of her own life. Her independence is central to how she shows up on camera, how she shows up, I think, in life. She is an independent woman, and she's always valued that about herself. So it is very interesting to see Janelle and Robyn interact throughout this whole scene. Robyn, time and time again, tries to engage with Janelle. And Janelle doesn't really look at Robyn. If anything, she might give her a little side eye, like if she's talking, she's listening, but she's not turning her head. From what I could tell, Janelle really had her head focused to Cody because that's who she wanted to talk to, or at the very least, she did not want to talk to Robyn. All going back and forth on like the state of the family and what's the future and what are they all doing. Boss Robyn says, Janelle, I haven't heard from you in a while. I need to hear from you. Oh, do you need to hear from Janelle? Okay, so it's funny because Janelle barely lets Robyn finish the sentence. It's almost like their words overlap. And Janelle does not look at Robyn when Robyn says, I need to hear from you, Janelle. Janelle continues to look at Cody. And she says basically that this is an uncomfortable situation for her. She feels like she has to choose between her children and the rest of the family, and that her children don't feel welcome with the rest of the family. And this is a problem. It's funny because she is saying her children, but it's like, Cody, your children don't feel welcome in your home. Cody has a tendency to talk about everyone's children except for Robyn's as their children. And it seems to distance him from the accountability of taking care of them. But it is, Cody, your children do not feel welcome in your family. What sense does that make, right? Anyway, Cody's not the one who responds to Janelle saying, my children don't feel welcome here. You already know who responds. Robyn. Robyn says, what do you mean your children don't feel welcome? When have they not felt welcome here? I so appreciate this. It cuts to an interview where Janelle says, you know, I don't know why Robyn's acting like she doesn't get it. I don't know why. She's like, I don't know if she's just pretending or what, but I know that Cody's told her everything. So for her to be acting like that is silly. I appreciate that they have included that, and that Janelle is just being honest with us, because I think we all agree, of course, Cody and Robyn do not keep secrets from each other, especially when it comes to the other wives and their children. I think they love talking about that. All right, so my final example in this scene of Robyn being a boss, or at the very least trying to be a boss, towards the end of their conversation, Robyn once again tries to tie it all together and says, I'm just saying to each of you that I want to get this figured out. And Janelle, the one who is not invested in Robyn's leadership, the one who is not gonna report to Robyn in the way that Robyn wants them to report to her, she gets her bag together, she stands up, and she says, okay, well, I gotta go get Savannah. I love it. There's just so many moments in this scene where Robyn is asserting herself as the boss. Janelle is subtly or not so subtly saying, girl, you ain't my boss. Janelle stays focused on Cody. I did think it was interesting that in this scene, Robyn talked a lot more than I feel like she has talked in a while. I feel like we heard from Robyn so much more in this episode than we had in lots of other episodes. I don't know if that is at the discretion of the producers and editors. Like maybe Robyn has spoken a lot in other moments, but it just gets edited out. I don't know. To me, it feels interesting that this is one of the first scenes where the family is together and Christine is not there. And now we hear a lot from Robyn. I don't know. Let me know what you think. And like I said in the beginning, we're going to continue this conversation in another video because there is so much that happened in this episode. All right, take care. Bye.